Hello and welcome to the Board Game Barbecue. It's Mike in the host seat today. Sorry you have to deal with me leading it today, but I'm joined by three other amazing hosts that'll help lift me up and guide me along this way. We've got a couple lovely Victorians. We've got Dan. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, Mike. How are you, buddy?
Doing great, mate. Doing great. And Condog Connor, how you doing?
Big V, yeah, Victorian represent. That's it. State of origin. Go the Blues, the proper blues, Victorian blues.
Oh, it started.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Sports ball. Woo! And the other person who has no idea what sports we're talking about is the Sydney Cider invading into the Melbourneites. It is Sarah. How you doing there?
Should I just leave? The Sydney Cider. I didn't even get a nice adjective. Sydney didn't even get a nice adjective. You're like the lovely, the lovely Victoria.
You're lovely, but Sydney, Sydney's all right. So we don't mind that,
hang
Sydney,
on,
folks.
Hang with us, all our Sydney listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, this pod will get better. I promise.
It will get better. So thank you for joining, everyone. We're going to do a normal show today. We're going to have a chat about games. I am chomping at the bit. I've not been on for about a month, so I've got a bunch of games I'm hanging to play, and hopefully the other hosts have played a bunch of games too. We'll resolve a bracket battle. We'll go into another one, and we'll finish the show with our O's, which I'm absolutely sure all the hosts have completed because they're all a bunch of legends. So that's something to look forward to. Everyone's looking confident. There's no one shaking their heads. Everyone at home. So I'm sure we're going to go great. So let's launch into some games, guys. I think that's what we're all here for. Let's talk about games. And would you mind if I start us off?
Go for it. You're already talking.
I'm always talking.
That's another sports reference.
I'm always talking. I've been really lucky to play a bunch of games lately, and it's been interesting. Like I've been diving in and learning a bunch of games. I've played a few expansions lately that have improved games I've loved previously. There's been a few Kickstarters that friends have received that I've been playing. It's been all over the place, but been really exciting. I'll start off with something that caught me by surprise. I played a game called Creature Comforts. Has anyone had a chance to play this thing yet?
No, I've heard of
I've been seeing a lot of photos on Instagram about it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Looks great.
I remember when I saw it, I sort of shrugged it off. I think because I was trying to find reasons not to buy games. I'm like, reminds me of Everdell. It's got cute creatures. I don't need another Everdell. And I will happily try to find a copy of this thing to buy now. It's almost like a push your luck worker placement, where I think it's going to be a really great game to introduce people to the hobby because you're not blocking people out of worker placement spots. Everyone can join in, but you have your own set of die that you have to use to activate the worker placement spot. So you sort of put all your guys out, and then you have to sort of get the right dice to activate them. So it was really cool. And they do an ode to other board games in there. Like I got an Everdell card. I got a Wingspan card in there. They have like board games you can collect in it, which I thought was really cool. I learned and played Praga Kaput Regni. Praga Kaput Regni.
Yeah.
What did you think of Praga?
I loved it. The group, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the sort of rundell mechanism was really interesting.
Yeah, the wheel's cool.
And just trying to figure out how to sort of combo all the things I found really interesting. But that was a game that it's rare that I go into a game like that saying, okay, I want to try to concentrate on this strategy, and I really work towards it. And I like that throughout the game, it looked like I was losing. And then when it came to in-game points, I roared up the track and nearly won. Didn't take it. Did it not sit too well with you, Sarah?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to like it. I don't know. It just so that action rondelle thing, I thought I was going to love that. I ended up, I don't know, maybe I was frustrated by it because every time I wanted a particular action, it was always in like the expensive section, it was never, and like other people were getting it when it was like lucrative for them. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the thing I want to do. And then it was expensive for me. So yeah, I don't know. But it wasn't just that. It was kind of like a mix of like not really knowing what to do that was going to get lots of points. And then at the end, it just kind of seemed like we all just got a lot of points for things.
Yeah.
So at the end, I wasn't sure what was the best strategy to do.
It's
you know what I mean? It wasn't clear to me which was the good thing to do.
Point salady, like it's like you get points for this, you get points for that, you get points for on the bridge, you get points for moving up the cathedral, you get points for moving up the castle. You get points for having eggs. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, because me and Adrian played it on TTS, and we're like, eggs, what do you need eggs for? And then apparently they used eggs to make the mortar.
The mortar,
Exactly.
yeah.
I was like, they're like, yeah, eggs like were super valuable because it made the mortar for the for the bridge. So
see, I liked that part of it. That was like quirky. I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, you can go egg strategy on this game.
I'm like eggs and gold right now. It's like what? That's such a weird combination of resources. But I found it really good. Like the group, because it's a big teach. It's funny because it's a really big teach, and then you go to play, and your turn is like a minute, and it's pretty. We found it pretty snappy. There's just so many options you can do and sort of routes you can go. The teach is quite large, but look, for me, it hit home really well. I've only had the one play so far, so I definitely want to get a couple more in. I've been bringing it to my game group every week lately, trying to sneak another game in and end up playing something else. But look, for me, that was a win. I played some games with Jules a little while ago, and Joe and I convinced him to teach us in the Hall of the Mountain King, which I purchased recently and was sort of really hanging to see what I thought of it. And man, that blew us away. The resources in that was such an interesting mechanic. And I don't know if have any of you actually played that one yet?
I did. I played this like famous game of it with Jules and Mitch, where poor Jules had he'd actually forgotten the rules.
Okay.
Because it had been so long since he played it. And he was really annoyed with himself, like, after we played. I don't even think we got through the whole game. And then after he was like, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I should have scrubbed up a bit more on the rule. But even then, it was still fun. Like, I could see what you're saying about the resources being on those.
So fun.
You
sort
know,
of making that cascading
whatever,
resource thing happening. And I romped up, like I collected resources like crazy. So like 3/4 of the way through the game, I couldn't get resources anymore. Like I thrashed that sort of ability, and I loved it though. I thought I like any game with polyomino placement, and that one really hit home for me. I found it really interesting mechanics, sort of a mix of things, which was really cool.
I liked how sort of tight it was, because you had to remind me, because you've got to score for getting like the statues in those fancy rooms, right?
You got to get statues on the what are they called? I don't even do any of those actually. Get a statue. You can
on
put
the
them
podium,
in the room, so you put them in the rooms or on the podium. But you also get points for building your pathways, and depending what material you build them from, gets you more points as well. But there's so many things going around.
It was quite difficult to do. Like, I think I liked the challenge of it. It wasn't too super easy to get these things done.
You never had enough resources. You know what I mean? You had to try to make like little engines and stuff.
I hate that in games. It's like, I just want one more of something, whatever it is, a berry, a gold, a track. Like, I just need one more of those. So that's
what's frustrating in this game, because every time you add a card to this pyramid that you're building, you get all the resources underneath. But if you've not spent those resources, you don't get more of them. So you want to spend as much as you can to place a card and fill up on resources again. But once you finish your pyramid, there's no more cards you can place, so you don't get resources anymore. And that's what I did. I just romped home and tried to clean up, but it wasn't probably the best strategy, but it was fun. And that's the main thing.
So it's the path that you're creating. That's the polyomino tiles that you're placing down.
Correct.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that at the first Melbourne game day. I think it might have actually been Jules that was running the game, and it looked like a polyomino dungeon crawler almost.
It does look like a dungeon,
and it's really got really nice table presence too. But that's just what it looked like to me. It was fascinating.
It reminded me a little bit of Whistle Mountain, where you build the polyomino pieces and then you have to build a building on top of it. I found that sort of reminiscent of that, which I thought was really interesting. But I'm really happy that I got a deluxe copy of that, which I've not played my copy yet. But now that I've played it, I'm really keen to pull it out and give it a crack, because, oh, man, we had a lot of fun playing that one.
Just before we move on to the next game, can I just touch on something that Sarah said, how Jules forgot rules? And it's always... You always feel awful when you have to go back and check the rule book. But when you're on the other side... You're like, yeah, of course, I want you to check the rules to make sure like we're playing it correctly. But whenever the shoe's on the other foot and I'm the one having to check the rules, I'm like, oh my God, I get so stressed and so anxious and I'm trying to find it and I can't find it. And I'm smacking the rule book on the table because I can't find the rule book anywhere.
That's a massive anxiety trigger for me. I feel so bad if I get something wrong, and if someone's like, hang on, don't we have to do this or whatever? And I'm like, oh no, have I done something wrong?
It's even worse when it's like you're like, this is like my favorite game ever, and you've gotten the rule wrong the entire time. It's like, oh my god, I've been playing it totally wrong. I hate this game now. It's no longer my favorite rule.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did it yesterday with Galaxy Trucker. I had a friend over, and I'm like, oh, dude, you've never played Galaxy Trucker? I reckon you'd love it. And I pulled it out. I'm like, wait, I don't remember how half these things work anymore. Like, why does this show 3 arrows over here and 1 arrow here? I'm like, oh, no, we're not going to play this today. I had it all ready to go, and I'm like, no, I'm going to learn this and teach you next time when I actually know what's going on. I got so excited thinking he'll love it, which I'm sure he will, but I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, yeah, I need to actually research for this one.
Yeah, and it's of course it's a Vlada game, so it's like the rules are not exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't find a lot of the setup rules. I'm like, where is all this? Like, it wasn't great, but it's okay. I'll research. It is a great game, so it's worth researching again for.
I taught Jen a new game the other night, and I thought I'd nailed it. And then about halfway through, she asked me a question. And I went, I don't know. Quickly just flicking through the rules. Going, it's got to be in here somewhere. It's got to be in here somewhere. In the end, we just house ruled it until I could find it later on.
As long as you both play the same way.
Game. Exactly. It was just 2 of us, but yeah.
There's certain friends you have too that you play with that are always those people. They find the thing, that one thing that you've forgotten.
Yeah.
They will ask you. It's like they've done their research. They know that thing, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Who in our group would that person be, you reckon?
Jules.
Jules? Yeah, actually, yeah. That would be
definitely Jules. Definitely Jules.
But it's good. I like playing games with Jules because he knows the rules so well.
Yeah,
so like it's almost like having an almanac next to you.
Yes.
Speaking of that, can I just bring up, I'll just be rude again and interrupt. We had our second game of Oath online.
Oh.
So myself, Def, Harry, and JB. And unfortunately, we came to the conclusion that we're not going to continue our campaign. Because some of the rules are just so pedantic and opaque, and it's really, really difficult to sort of wrap your head around like what's considered defense, what's considered a defense die, what's considered an attack die. If you're attacking this position, where should you attack? It's like it's almost like a mix between, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Cones of Dunshire from Parks and Rec and the Auntie Donna skit. It's like,
yes,
I step back. I need wood. Yeah. And it's like, you need deceptive this, and there's all this stuff, and it. Like, I think I sent you a message, Sarah, because you messaged me when we were partway through, and I said it just promises so much, but unfortunately for me, all the fun parts of the game don't actually matter in the end. So the fun parts is like exploring and setting up the story and all that stuff, but in the end, it comes down to like one battle, and you can only win after it comes back around to you. So you've got to set it up perfectly. You got to, or you're exhausted to the point where no one, like, there's no more, because there's a set income. Like, it's really, really difficult to win, and I kind of get that. But at the same time, it's also a long game, so it's not as if you're sort of playing like a. It
can be very short, actually. Well, it can sometimes be very short, depending.
But it wasn't for us, and I don't know if that was because, like, for us and our group, I was saying to JB, like, we play a lot of war games, so we're happy with conflict and things like that, whereas, other people might not be so comfortable. So you want people to have a good time. You don't want people to be smashed, and you want to set up that story. But, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't sit.
So is it just properly. The fact that you play so long and then the payoff at the end just doesn't feel like it justifies the time you've invested?
Yeah, Harry came up with a good point in that he always found himself locked into one move to continue the game, right? Okay. So he in our first game, and I'm sure he won't mind me talking about this, but in our first game, he was always having to attack me to stop me from winning, but he had no other choice. Like, so that was it. He was locked into that. Whereas in other games, other conflict-based games, it's like, well, I can potentially make a move that's going to let me win on my turn. Yeah. So it's like, well, I'm not going to attack you or I am going to attack you because it's going to help me win now, which makes sense, right? Whereas all that he was doing was just delaying the game. So he was just delaying the game. And we just sort of said, number one, I think it's a game that would be better on the table. Because it's, you lose a bit when you're playing TTS. And number two,
that's fair.
Maybe like, I don't know, like maybe in a situation where, I don't know, you sort of, not necessarily role playing, but like, okay, I'm happy to take this loss because it builds the world, as opposed to it being a super competitive game. Because, you know, like some games you play for the story. And I know, Dan, you're a big fan of games with story and things like that. So you play more for the story, not too worried about the gameplay. But it kind of felt like because you're invested so much into it, you want to win and you want your plans to pay off. And
but it's also kind of cool to like lose and have a different sort of role the next time you play. So like I've been playing this with Kerry and James in the Discord, Scuba Finch. So we've been playing it a little bit and we haven't played for a while, but it's actually interesting that you can be a different role. Like I think I was the first Chancellor, and so I already had the upper hand, right, in that first game. But the first game, it tells you, do these few opening moves. And one of the opening moves was for someone to come along and basically destroy me. So I'm like, oh, so I get to be Chancellor, but I get like almost destroyed in the first round of the game because it was the introduction. So it was pretty funny. So I ended up losing that game, not surprisingly. But then being a different role, being, you know, trying to go up against the Chancellor was really interesting. It was like you said, it's like you're trying to take down a certain specific person. So the game is for players that can handle that. Like if you're happy for a whole table of people to come for you and try and prevent you from winning, you know, but it can be a very, like, even more so than most war games because it's everybody. It's everybody against you. And I know what you mean because that world building part of it is only very small. And I think the game promises that it's going to be very legacy you know, it's going to have a lot of new stuff. It really doesn't. It's very small, the amount of new stuff that comes in. So I think that that's really drip fed in the game. And so you have to really love how the game plays to get anything from that. You know, you can't just go in, oh, it's going to be like legacy and it's going to be this cool world building thing. But the thing that I found it very similar to was, you know, in Root when you can potentially take over from the what's the other? Sorry,
the dominance cards.
Yes, the dominance cards. Very similar to that, right? Because you have to make sure that you're winning at the start of your turn. So so you've got everyone coming to try and mess with that and make sure that you don't control those 3 areas of a certain color or whatever. So it felt very much like that to me. So I think that probably inspired that whole thing. But being able to like usurp the Chancellor was kind of cool. I did that in the second game. So some games you can play and you can be like, that was amazing. I loved what I did there. Yeah. And then other games it can be like, I just felt like I was just attacking someone the whole time and trying to stop them.
And that's what we kind of felt like. The highs were pretty cool. Like there was some pretty cool plays and some pretty cool narrative things going on. But we just had turns where it was just like it was the same thing again and again. Like someone would get in a position to win, the next player might stop them, but the player afterwards. So it's at least in a whole nother turn until it got around to that person that was in a winning position. And not enough people had I just felt like there wasn't enough choices and we play with 4 players, so that's quite a lot. But look, hey, it's an incredible production, and Kyle Ferrinar, and clearly a lot of thought's gone into it. Just for me, it's not what I was hoping it to be, and that's fine. I'm sure I know lots of people love it because I hear about it all the time. But yeah, it's I'm disappointed in what I ended up playing, but that's not to say it's not an awesome experience for those people who like it.
That's fair. That's fair. Sometimes you just go with certain expectations. Yeah, it doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just this is not what I wanted it to be. Yeah. That's fair enough, man. That's fair. I've done that. Very cool. I'll talk about a couple more. I was going to touch on Isle of Cats with the new Kittens and Beasts expansion and the events. Absolutely awesome. Loving the new additions. And I even taught a couple people that had never played Isle of Cats before. Bit worried they wouldn't get it, but they picked it up quite easily as a whole game. So that was quite cool.
Does it extend the game by a considerable amount of time?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it really extends the game at all, to be honest. Like the only thing that it probably does to extend the game a little bit would be like the events, the event tokens that you sort of resolve every round are all these weird little symbols. So just double checking, what's this event again? Okay, who's got this thing? How many points do you get for that? And dishing that out. Other than that, I really don't think it does a lot. One of the beasts is literally one phase at the very start of the game. You can take a beast and put it on your boat. Then you're just trying to make cats become friends with that beast. It gives you a bit of a different challenge that you're trying to do.
Cats don't make friends with anyone. Like
I made beasts become friends with cats. It can be done. It can be done. It just brings a different challenge to the game, and you don't have to do it. And you're probably not at a huge advantage if you do it. But it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And
it sounds like beasts would be like a bad thing that you would want to avoid. Like the beasts are going around eating all your cats. It's like, no, you can make friends with them.
Well, that's why you have to make friends with them so they don't come and eat all your cats.
Right.
It's like Alf.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Did Alf want to eat cats?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember Alf very well.
It was a delicacy on Melmac.
It's going back too far.
I know. Hey, it's funny. I've never actually played Isle of Cats, but every time I see it being played at a game day, I'm always surprised at how long that game takes.
Everyone was giving us crap last time.
I look at it and go, "Oh, it's a polyomino game. Really? Cool. I'm sure I'd enjoy that. I'll get around to playing it one day." And then an hour and a half later, it's like, you guys are still going with this.
There's a lot more to it. It's like, especially because it's got the drafting phase. So people are trying to draft cards and pick which cards they want to keep. Then you have to pay for the cards you want to keep from the drafting. So then there's a hard decision of doing that. There's a few steps to the game. But I've never played a game of it that I felt like it went for way too long. That's one of my top games. Like I like cats.
But you're a sucker for cats. You love cat games.
I'm a sucker for polyomino. It's more polyomino
and cats.
I do own a few cat games.
I remember our Calico fight thing.
Calico.
You told me I had no
you got Cat Lady as well, have you?
Calico is pretty awesome.
Calico is pretty awesome. Yeah, it is. Actually.
I did have a crack at Battle Lore 2nd Edition, which I haven't played in years, which is pretty cool. But the main game I want to highlight today, the game that I've been chasing since I played it and no one's willing to sell it to me, is Wonderland's War. Like, that game took me by surprise, and I need to own it. It is so much fun.
I love that. I need to
own it. It was just, it really surprised me. We had a new visitor to our game group who brought it along. And I remember I watched a video before, because he was sort of asking, does anyone want to play this game? And I'm like, Alice in Wonderland's pretty cool, but do you want to play a game about it? I don't know. So I watched a quick video, and the video made it look really complicated. Anyway, I said, I'll join your game. We played I think a 3 or 4 player game. And it's like area control Quacks of Quedlinburg with drafting. Like, it was so much fun. You sort of have a phase at the start. You only go through 3 rounds of the game, but the first round is you're going around a track to draft cards, which in turn give you special cards and chips with the different abilities. So that's like your buying phase. But if you go all the way around the track, you earn these gems, which are negative points in the game that you have to try to get rid of. So if you go all the way around and get a really good card on the other side of the board, then you need to come back around, go past the evil gem area to get more cards again. It was really interesting. So you have this cool little play of, well, do I want to go around the track more, or do I want to take subpar cards and tokens to put in my bag to try to not go around that track? And then as you do that, the cards will let you put meeples out on the board as well, which go to the area control side of things. And then we actually get to that part, we're all battling each other. They're like lives that you have. So as you're pulling tokens out the bags, you're sort of battling and pulling out a token, showing each other, revealing at the same time, seeing sort of who won, and you're racing up a track. But if you pull out too many bad chips, then you lose your meeples off that area. So the more meeples you put onto an area control area, the more chance you have of staying in the fight, which I thought was really interesting. Like, the game, the production quality was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
The chips were amazing. The minis were amazing. The colors on the board, asymmetric player powers as well. We all had completely different abilities that felt like we were cheating, but we all had a different one that felt different. Like, one guy could take his main hero and jump from fight to fight, which made it more stronger. I could use certain chips to give me certain powers and activate different... it was insane. Have you had a chance to play it, Connor? Have you?
No, but so Druid City Games also makes Tidal Blades, which is like the art behind that and the production is incredible. Like, it's legit. It's an absolute table hog. But it's fantastic. And looking at these, so that's what I was going to ask you. So the chips that you buy are only specific to your faction or character. Is that right? So you start the game with chips specific to your faction and character.
Okay. and then the abilities you unlock might be specific to those chips. Like if you pull, I had teacups because I was the Mad Hatter.
Right.
So I got a thing that if I pulled out the teacup, I could put it in there. As you pull out they're not corruption chips. I can't remember what they're called now. The bad chips. As you pull them out, they fill up this little track. And once you get to the end of that track, you can get all your exhausted chips and put them back in your bag. But I had a special ability that let me put my teacups in that area. So I could get all my chips back quicker.
Oh, cool.
Which is really cool. I had a lot of, because I was the Mad Hatter, madness was sort of my special ability. I could control madness and do different things, and I still think about it and I'm dying to play it again because it was just so much fun. And the whole, sort of when you play Quacks of Quedlinburg, if you play it properly in the last phase, you're all showing each other what chip you got at the same time. The whole game's like that, but you are actually battling each other and you're racing up a track and trying to stay in the track. And, you can either just try to stay alive the whole time, or if you get enough good chips and you race up to 25 points in that round, you just win automatically. It's just a bunch of really cool mechanics that, from the outside, without having to play it, it sounded like it was going to be, well, this is a weird mix of mechanics. I don't think it's going to work. But man, did it work. And it worked while looking absolutely stunning. And this is why the game has to join my collection. I don't know where I'll put it because the box was enormous. But Wonderland's War blew me away.
Yeah, it actually sounds pretty cool.
It was, I think most people will absolutely love it because it's your random luck, but at the same time, you're drafting what chips are. It's not like Quacks where you get a certain amount of points and that's what you have to spend to get your chips. And, I can't afford this awesome chip, I'm not going to do it. Well, you can jump on a card that gives you amazing chips and you can start trying to, because you have a pool that everyone is sharing. And so there's, 7 cards showing you what the sort of different chips do. There's level 1 and level 2 being better. But then in the middle of the table, there's these 3 cards that will bring extra champions or extra chips on with special abilities, and they're all unique. So I'll have these chips that let me do something that no one else can do, which was really, really cool. And you'll also pull out these other chips that let you forge chips, which means you're going up other tracks trying to unlock different special abilities you have. Like there's so many options in this weird push your luck area control game. It just worked so well together, I think. And if anyone is selling a copy, please let me know. You can find me in the Discord. But no, I think everyone has to try it. I believe at the Sydney Game Day, I think one of our members, I think Peter was playing it, I think. He's going to be teaching people maybe.
Okay. I know someone local that has it.
Yeah, go play it. Go play it. You
I'll wait till Mike gets it. I'm really looking forward to playing this. I remember passing on it in Kickstarter and then regretting it.
Yeah,
I regret it so bad.
I love the artwork of it.
It's insane.
It's such a. I mean, it's cartoony, but it's really gritty and sort of dark. And also, like they've gone right into the lore. I'm just looking at it now, but they've gone right into the lore of all the different characters with all the different cards, besides your main ones. And I love that they've gone the Jabberwock as well. Yeah, that's quite an overlooked character. But with the Humpty Dumpty and the Walrus and the Carpenter, and it's funny because we were just watching it the other day on the Disney movie the other day because Oliver wanted to see it. But the artwork is what really grabbed me. So yeah, I can't wait till Mike buys it so I can go for this.
Sounds so good, like all the special abilities and the tracks and the speaking my language.
It's got everything. It's got everything. It's
and it's kind of a bit of a flavour of the month as well. And I know Alice in Wonderland's been in the public domain for ages now, but it's funny how these games come in sort of fits and spurts because Paint the Roses is a Kickstarter that's getting close to fulfillment at the moment. That's one I did actually back. And then there was another Tea Party game that came out last year as well, I think, that was around it was literally the Mad Hatter's Tea Party sort of table with cups and saucers and stuff, and it was some sort of it was a really interesting, another different take on the IP. But I was actually interested. I was Googling today what is in the public domain, and because I know because there's always different versions of Robin Hood coming out and stuff like that. That's obviously public domain. There are heaps. Obviously there's like Frankenstein and Dracula and all those sorts of those books that were written back in the sort of 1800s. They're all public domain, so it's only a matter of time before people start riffing on those and bringing out different games. All the old favorites, Three Musketeers, Robinson Crusoe, and that's why we see games like that, Peter Pan, Treasure Island, exactly. Yeah, and that's why we start to see more and more of those games sort of coming out because there is. I was looking for, because I know I did actually see it a long time ago. There is actually like a list of what books or what IP are actually coming into public domain.
Okay.
So you can almost sort of time it. And I'm sure there are like people.
There'll be people doing this.
Waiting to to create their own book or create their own game or whatever. As soon as that IP hits the public domain, if no one else sort of picks it up.
Well, there was something pretty major that is coming into public domain soon. I can't remember what it is. If I find out, I'll put it in the Discord. But that obviously doesn't apply to things like other movies and stuff, is it? It's like, things like Lord of the Rings that can't go to public domain because that's owned by a specific family. Is that right or no? Am I wrong?
Yeah, my understanding is as long as no one picks up the copyright, then the copyright expires.
So it depends if the estate's still
no
keeping
one buy the Mario copyright. Then one day we'll have like Mario doing something that he shouldn't be doing.
That'd be cool.
No, because I want Nintendo to keep making Mario games.
Thank you for indulging me in talking about lots of games.
I've just found it. A list of, while we're on the topic, a list of things that potentially enter public domain in 2022. Among it, Winnie the Pooh.
All right.
A couple of Agatha Christie novels. Faust, which isn't Faust the guy that sold his soul to the devil to get his girlfriend back or something like that?
Okay.
They're the ones that
might make a cool board game.
Yeah. The Faustian bargain. Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, A.A. Milne, you would think that they're...
I can't believe that. I thought Disney would be all over it.
That they would pick that up.
Yeah.
That's the thing that Ernest Hemingway stuff. The Scarlet Letter, that's getting into public domain this year. Jim Morrison? How's a person into public domain? Anyway, I digress.
I'm looking forward to the Jim Morrison area control game.
Yeah.
Jim Morrison area control. Winnie the Pooh would be a huge one, though. Oh my God, you can imagine.
That'd be
imagine how many games.
Yeah, I'd love to see like this massive 100-acre wood sort of exploration game. That would be sick.
4X,
yes,
that'd be funny.
And all you're doing is going around trying to get honey.
Yeah, isn't that Honey Buzz? No.
That's about HUNN.
Ah, right. But is that copyrighted by Disney? That's the only problem.
I don't know.
We'll keep the train moving along, folks. We'll let somebody else ramble about some games. Let's flick over to Sarah and see what she's been playing.
Yeah, I have.
Sarah, ramble away.
Okay, I will ramble on. I haven't actually been playing like a huge amount of games, but I did play Golem the other day.
Oh man,
how was it?
So cool. Yeah, it's really good. So I'll talk about all the good points first. So it's kind of like, I don't know if any of you guys have ever played Newton.
No.
I actually talked about it.
Is that based on Bert Newton?
No.
The
scientist Newton. Apple falling on the head.
There's a scientist.
Gotcha.
Kidding. I educate the children. I get it.
So in Newton, like there's all these different tracks and things like that. So Golem's a little bit like that. You have like a player board that has all these tracks on it. There's like an artifacts track, and there's like a knowledge track, and then there's the Golem track. And of course I did the whole, it's a game about golems, so I have to do the Golem track.
Yep.
Of course. But and Adrian's talked about this as well before on the show, but and I think this was kind of his favorite part of the game, and it was mine, is that the golems, like you're building golems and they're going to get you lots of points and stuff, and they do lots of work for you. They're like kind of your workers, and they're rampaging through this town. I would not want to live in this town that has these freaky flesh creatures running around, because let me tell you, the playboard with the golem on it in the chains, it's super scary. It's like freaky as looking. You got to check this playboard out if you're listening. So they do all this cool stuff for you, but there is a problem. They can go rampaging. So you go up this like golem track, and it's going to give you heaps of points, and that's really good. But the further up you go on this golem track, the more your golems will move at the start of every round. But you don't want them to go rampaging through the town, because if your like scholars are not close to them, they can do all sorts of bad stuff. basically, right? So you've got to keep the scholars close to them to keep them under control. So basically, the way that works in the game is for every like space away from your scholars or whatever that the golems are, you have to pay these like knowledge tokens. So it's this constant thing of, oops, I just dropped my purchase bin. So it's this constant thing of like making sure you've got enough to pay, or that you're trying to like catch up. Your scholars are trying to catch up and go along the town close to where your golems are so that you don't have to pay too much. So it's like really intense.
So the better you're doing, the harder it gets, sort of thing?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But then you can get all these, you can find a way around that. So you can upgrade your golems. And this is kind of weird because you're upgrading the golems, but in actual fact, what this upgrade is that you will pay a maximum of only 2 knowledge per golem or whatever. So then they can go off, and they can go all the way down the track, and you'll only ever pay a maximum of 2 like knowledge tokens. So you can do all these different upgrades, and you can like manipulate that so it's not so bad. But yeah, it can be really stressful because it's like, oh, now I have to move my golems, but I don't want to move my golems. I don't want them to go rampaging through the town. And it's all based on this like Jewish folk tale that I know nothing about, unfortunately, but it's such a super cool theme. So I really love that about it. The artifacts track, I didn't do much with that, and I think that I should have, because the artifact track was like crazy income. Like if you built the artifacts, you would get a certain income every round, and so I kind of missed out on that altogether in the game. And then you can also upgrade that because there's upgrades for each track. So the upgrades for that were like even more income. And it was also, there was some income that could trigger potentially for the marbles you take. So how you're taking actions in this game is you take 2 different colored marbles. And so you grab a marble and you put it on your player board, and it has, and Adrian talked about this as well, so I'm sorry for repeating him, but there's these 2 eye sockets above where your creepy looking golem in chains is on your player board. There's these eye sockets above that. And you put a marble in an eye socket, and depending on the color, it can trigger something as well. So if you've upgraded your income, you can potentially trigger, like you might have upgraded your income to get something on a red marble. So if you take a red marble then and put it in the eye socket, then you'll trigger this income again. And not to mention, depending on what color marble you take, it moves your scholars on the board. There's all this cool stuff happening.
Isn't that just a really interesting sort of component choice, though? Like that could have been, pulling something out of a bag or something like that, but instead they've got this little potion explosion-y sort of thing on the side.
That's what I thought of. Yeah.
When you pick the marble, you put it in an eye socket on your player board. It's just bizarre.
Just while you're mentioning that too. So I don't know how the algorithms on Board Game Geek work, but you know how sometimes it's like, hey, this is a game about this topic down the bottom, right? So
we've complained about this before.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think it's because I looked up Golem to sort of check it out. Anyway, it's like games with marbles, and it had all these ones. It didn't even have potion explosion. I was like,
what?
Aside from the marble game, like Dan would remember the marble game, where like the marble run. It's like, it's like aside from that,
what does that mean?
That is the marble game. Like Potion Explosion is the game about marbles. So
it's a game about marbles.
Yeah.
100%.
Anyway,
so what was that? Just Hungry Hippos and Kaplunk.
That was one of them. Yeah, and Kaplunk was one of them. What else?
If you like Golem, you'll like Kaplunk.
Golem was on there. What? I'm trying to think. Merchant's Cove was on there because of the one faction that uses marbles.
Gizmos. Gizmos
I think Gizmos was on there too. But I was like going, surely, like that should be the number one.
But also, I mean,
we have so many bones.
Would you consider Golem a marble game, Sarah? I mean,
no,
it's like the 4th or 5th thing you've like down in the order of what you've mentioned in the game.
It's an eyeball game.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I wouldn't consider it really a marble game.
Is the thing you don't like about the game, Sarah, that there's like 5 too many colors for you?
Oh, so smart.
Beige and then 5 other colors.
It is very colorful. I will say that. No, I actually like the colors. I like the colors in this game. Funnily enough that you say that, Mike,
It still looks a bit grim, though, doesn't it? I mean,
it looks a bit
like,
grim, but I
it's
actually
dark
like
but
the
colourful.
really cool.
It's got colours, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a colourful game. Maybe it's just the board that sort of looks a bit a bit grim, and then the components are coloured.
Yeah, good point.
Playboard is damn freaky. Like that golem on there is whoa. But actually, funny you say that, Mike, because people were saying to me, the people I was playing with were saying, "Oh, but the game is so ugly," and I'm like, "Excuse me, like, no, you have not seen my board game collection."
Hey, there's a turquoise color that's pretty cool. Like
there is. It's like a really
pink,
pretty color.
Like that's
it's a weird mix of grim and colorful. It really is. Looking through photos of it, but I like it. Like it doesn't look like it doesn't look like it doesn't belong in a weird way, even though they're so
quirky.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think.
But that box art, that's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
With the Hebrew like on its forehead.
Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. And but I guess the only one thing I would say about it for people who are considering getting it is there is not a lot of player interaction in this. In fact, I can't even remember having any. You know, there really wasn't. There was no. Oh, you picked my marble. It was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. You took that marble. I'll just take that other one.
It felt a bit multiplayer solo.
Yeah, a bit multiplayer solo. Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of marbles in it, and like, yes, sometimes someone takes a marble that was on the track that you wanted, and so the action when you take it is less strength. So there's a lot of board games at the moment that it's like action strength mechanisms, and this is another one of those. So if there's 4 marbles that are in the row of the action that you want to take, then you're going to get that action times 4.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And if someone before you takes a marble from there, then it's only 3, and then
so you want to be first, like you want to get the most powerful action. Yeah.
You want that, and that's like literally it. There's no one going to really mess with you in this game, which obviously it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just that's the way it is. I
guess it's similar to the mechanic where you can take this action, but it's going to cost you more. It's similar to that, right? Like it's not as efficient, but you can still do it.
It's not as efficient, but you can still do it. And there's like white marbles that they are wild, basically. You can move any scholar. No, sorry. Yeah, that's right. And then the black ones let you move 2 scholars or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's some colors that let you move a scholar on that particular color track, and there's also ones that let you move different, like move wherever you want the scholar to move. And you want the scholars to move up because as you go along those tracks on the board, there's like more powerful actions that you can do there. It's really nice. It's a really solid game. Yeah. And like I said, it's felt quite a lot like Newton, but a little bit more complex than Newton and a bit longer.
And there's tracks, which are awesome.
Newton has tracks. You would like Newton, Connor.
I'm just saying,
like tracks?
Tracks are the best.
Tracks.
Aren't they, Dan? Tracks are great.
Yeah. So I've been playing that, and should I keep going?
Yeah, let's be playing.
Yeah, so my son actually has been playing a couple of games with me, and these ones, pretty sure that you've talked about these before, Mike.
Yeah, they're both my game. I both own and love both.
Yeah. So his absolute favorite at the moment is Illusion.
That's awesome.
So I think, have we all played this?
Yes.
We have all played this, right? At the retreat. Or Dan, did you get a chance?
I didn't know. I was in the other room playing something else. My wife played it with you guys.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so it's super simple. You have like an arrow card that is a color, like it's a colored arrow. It might be a yellow arrow. And then you draw one of these quirky looking cards that's got wacky patterns
Jackson
on it.
Pollock's.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you have to look at the card. So there's always one in the start of the row, and then you draw a card on your turn and you put it either before or after that card that's already there, depending on how much yellow you think is on the new card. If you think it's less yellow, than the one that's there, you'll put it before that card. If you think there's more yellow on it, you'll put it after that card.
So is it always yellow?
Row. No. If your arrow is yellow, then you're doing yellow, and you have to. This happens all the time. That someone will be like, "I thought we were doing red."
Yes, I do it all the time. You have three red arrows in a row, and then the yellow comes, and then blue comes out. It's like, well, you just messed up my whole train of thought now.
Yeah. So this happens with my son does this all the time. So we have to start again. It's like, no, dude, like you've got to look at the arrow. What color is the arrow? It's like, I thought we were doing blue. So it depends on what the arrow color is. And then you can call it, right, at any time. If you're like someone has gone way off here, like this does not look right at all.
Even yourself?
You can say even yourself. Yeah. Often that happens. Or like there'll just be 6 cards there and I'll just be like, you know what? It probably is wrong. Like it looks like it could be either way, but I'm going to call it anyway just to see. So when you call it, you flip them all over and the percentages are on the back. The percentage of all the different colors are on the back. And if there's any that are wrong and you've called it, then the last person to place a card loses the point, right? No, you win it. No, you win the point.
If you're right that it's wrong,
yes,
then you get a point. But if you called it incorrectly, the person before you gets the point.
That's right. You said, no, this is in the wrong spot. Then then the one before you because they put it down. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even have to call it. It can be any card in the row, just as long as it's not perfect from least to most of the color.
Yeah, you don't have to say it's this specific card. You just have to get it right, like that the row is wrong somewhere, and then you'll get the card and you'll get the point. But if you're wrong, if you've called it and it's actually all correct, then the last person to play one gets that point. Mm-hmm. So, and I think it's just the first person to get 4 points or something like that. It's super simple.
Yeah.
It's really quick to play, and it's just funny because it's so hard. Like everyone's eyeballs work differently. One you'd think is easy, someone's going to think is really hard, and vice versa. Like it's weird how everyone's eyes work that little bit differently.
And the cards are cheeky. They have yellow with an outline of red. It's like, well, now I have to factor all that red into the equation. Like, it's
or the one where it's like it looks like ribbons kind of thing, and some are like going under and over.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man, it's so confusing. And then you just have ones that are like words, or calligraphy or something. Yeah, like you might have
just on the ribbon one. I suppose your brain would also interfere as well because your brain's going to think about the length of that ribbon.
Not
just how much of the ribbon is visible.
So you can see.
Your brain's going to go, well, that ribbon goes from here to there. And then you're also going to go, no, but not all of it is visible. Just because it's a long ribbon doesn't mean that it's all that color that we're interested in.
Yeah, and then it's like the thickness of lines and the thinness of them and how your brain sort of can process that. They're all really kind of optical illusions, and it really works. It really works. It's just fun. It's really fun. And it's by the same guy that did Quacks.
Is that
Wolfgang?
Wolfgang Warsch.
I never put that together.
Actually, I do remember going like, it's Wolfgang Warsch. Oh, well, hang on. Most famous for Gunshot Clever. Like, come on.
Oh, what?
Okay, yeah, true.
I'd say Quacks is a bit more famous. But anyway.
I'd say Quacks.
Neither here nor there.
I was going to let you have that, but I'm like, no. And then his other favorite is Ghost Blitz. And I think so. Mike's talked about these before. I'm talking about games other people have talked about,
right.
but it's fine.
Welcome to my career.
But Ghost Blitz with Zoltan gets extremely violent. Okay, it just gets so violent. I have had to glue the eyeballs on the frog so many times. So I've got Ghost Blitz version 2.
I was going to say, your frog.
I saw your face.
I
saw your face like, frog? Huh? This isn't the right game. Yeah, we've got Ghost Blitz 2 because I wanted to get the one with the female ghost. I don't know why. She just had
is that the more cool one?
It's just diversity. Why shouldn't there be a female ghost?
And she's mad sassy on the box. Like
she does look mad sassy. She does. She's got attitude.
Sarah, is that the one with the clock and the mirror and the bat? Is that one?
No, it's the hairbrush, a bathtub, a red rug, a green frog, and the ghost.
And you're grabbing stuff from the center of the table, aren't you?
Yes,
Is that the one?
you put all these objects in the center of the table, and then you flip a card. And if you look at the card, and if there is an object on that card that is the right color of the thing that's on the table, then that's the thing you have to quickly grab.
Okay. Right.
But sometimes there is only 2 objects and the colors represented. So you've got to look at, so that there might be like the ghost and the frog, but the ghost is the blue of the brush and the frog is the red of the rug. And then you've got to go, what aren't I seeing at all here? Like, what's the thing that's not represented at all? And then you're like, it's the grey bathtub. And then, but all this is happening in your brain like really, really quickly. Of course, it's way quicker for Zoltan because he's got a young person's brain. So really the only way I can win is to psych him out in some way. So I try to do that if I can. But he actually does get psyched out because if he loses one, then I know I've got, him. More of a chance. Yeah, I've got him.
He's crumbling. Right?
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
Broken.
It's so true.
That was an evil laugh too, by the way.
I know. I'm like, so
you try to break him, so you're going to get the more complex one where there's like a clock. And if the clock says this time, you have to do this thing. If the clock says that time, do that thing. Or if there's an owl, you have to say the card, not take the card.
You have to say hooted as well.
Yeah. It's just it's a bunch of extra rules laid on top that makes it way wackier.
Yeah.
What a bizarre set of components too.
I know.
You look it up, it's like, why is there a brush and a bathtub and 2 cones? It's
and a sassy ghost.
A sassy ghost. We have played this like in the pub before, and the like norms will look over and they'll just be like, I don't know. The norms, they just look over and they're like
muggles.
What are these people doing? Like, what is this? Looks like it's for 3-year-olds. Like, well, it is, but it's also fun for adults. Yeah, it's so good. But so Zolly's like so violent when he goes to grab. So he like throws things off the table. He's like, rather than me get to it, he's just like, just push everything off. Yeah, it's it gets pretty crazy, but it's fun. It's really good. I think that's a game just everybody should have. Honestly,
I agree.
Honestly. And I think that, Mike, I do have crazy rules in the rule book to add to the game. We just haven't done it yet because we're just still having too much fun with the basic one. Yeah.
Very cool.
And it's got to the point where it's almost 50-50 now. There's, like I can sort of keep up now with him. But you know what's funny, when we introduce it to someone, they have no idea what's going on. Because we're just too quick at it now because we've played it so many times. Like I played this with my brother and he was just like, I don't know. Like every time we turned over a card and we went for stuff, he's like shaking his head. Just like, no, I don't get what? Oh, okay. Like he was way more delayed than we were.
You need to let them draw the card and flip it their way just for half a second. So they've got the extra little advantage.
Got an extra second.
Yeah.
It would be interesting. An interesting challenge is to play it in front of someone, but not tell them the rules and see if they can work out what it is that you're doing. It's like one of them grabs it and it's like, I win. Okay. It's like, now you win. And they're looking at going, hang on. First they grabbed the hairbrush and they said it's one. Now
they're doing detective.
They're grabbing the that would be an awesome puzzle in itself.
That would be interesting.
It's like those games that you play on camp where it's like Dan can take a dump truck to the beach and Sarah can take a sand pit. And I was like, why? Can I take this? No, you can't. You can't take a kite. It's like, why not?
I was thinking the exact same thing. Or the spoon game as well, where someone walks up going, what are you playing? And they're trying to work out what everyone's doing and why some people can, some people can't. Yeah.
Hi everyone, Conor here. Just want to take a sec to talk about one of our sponsors, 2D6 Games up in Brisbane. 2D6 support this podcast, and Dan, Dave and Joe are a great community-focused team who are always present at our game days. They offer free shipping Australia-wide, which is an incredible bonus. They also directly support the Brisbane Game Day, so if you're ever at a Brisbane Game Day, drop into their store and say hello.
Well, Dan, other than taking a dump truck to the beach, what other games have you been playing? Like,
where else are you? I'm glad you said truck then. I've been, because I've been so flat out with work lately, I haven't had a whole lot of time. So Jen and I have been revisiting some of our favourite sort of really quick word games. So I've been playing a bit more So Clover, and it's funny because some nights we will just get in tune with each other where we'll write clues for each other and you know exactly what it is, and it's really, really quick. And other times it's like, I have no idea what you are thinking. Who have I married? This person is just a crazy person. I cannot work it out. But it reminded me of another word game, which I know Sarah has actually spoken about on the show. And I played it. First time I played it was actually in Canberra when I was visiting. I was there for work, but I stayed an extra night, and I caught up with some people from our Discord, Jess and Draven. I'll say that because I can't remember his real name. James. And they taught me letter jam. And
it's so good.
Oh my, how good is it? I mean, I love my word games, and this is like a puzzle
and
within the word game, and the deduction
it's
in there.
Exactly your game.
Dan Alley for sure. But you know what I find? Well, for those who haven't played it, letter jam is the way we play. We don't use the app. We just get a whole bunch of letters, and when we we create a 5-letter word and we give it to the other person, so we don't have to worry about the app. And those 5 letters go down in front of you, face down, and you flick them up one at a time, so you can't see the letter that's part of your word, a la like Hanabi, where your cards are facing out, and you're trying to create words with these chips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 8, and you're trying to get the other person to try and work out what they're missing, what their letter is by virtue of having a word with some missing letters. And so there might be, okay, I'm going to use there's one in the letter in the middle. There's also a couple on the side as well, which are in piles. And if you can get through the entire pile, then you'll get a bonus little token at the end, which you can use to give additional clues. But the most satisfying part of it all is when you think you've got your 5 letters, and then you got to rearrange those letters into work out the anagram as to what the word is. And when you're flipping them over one at a time, right at the very end, and this is what we're talking about, Conor, before about the payoff of a game. The payoff of getting that word correct as you flip them all over, and it's like, it's so satisfying. Because up until that point, you're really only just okay. I think this is an A. I think this is a B. I think this is this might be a D. This might be a Y. This is an N. I have no idea. I'm going to rearrange them and make a word, flip them over. It's like, I was right. Because up until then, you had no idea whether you were on track or not. You just sort of going through the motions. It's such a satisfying little word game, deduction. Clue giving, and it's
also really satisfying when someone gives an amazing clue as well.
Yeah, and we've worked out the key is to use double letters as well, because that limits how many words are in the lexicon that have like double letters. So things like balloon, where it's like, okay, I don't know, B blank LLOO, and it's like bang.
Okay, but I've got a question on double letters.
Yeah.
If 2 people, like if you're doing balloon and 2 people have L's or whatever, or O's or whatever, do you just choose one person and go, okay, this person has an O, they're going to get both of the numbers so that they know that theirs is the double? Or do you give one to one of the O people?
No, you can't give one to each, because then I would definitely, because then they would think there's 2 different letters. I would definitely give them to the one person.
But then someone doesn't get a clue at all. Because
I've only played it with 2 and with 3. No, I agree. Okay. Yes,
yeah, it's good
I've
to
only
give
played
everyone
it at 2 and at 3. I'd love to play it with more. But what we've started doing is we've started increasing the word count. Sorry, the letter count. So now we play with 6-letter words. So there's less room for error, because you've only got a certain number of tokens to try and give the clues. You can do it with 7 as well, but there are exactly 14 tokens on the table. So that means you have to go through all your piles to get those extra tokens at the bottom, and there's no margin for error. There's no, I think it might be this, but I'll actually leave it until the next round. You can't. You have to lock in a letter each time. So we haven't done that, but we have done it with 6, and we got it. We came right down to the wire, because there's very little room for margin for error. So you can potentially, okay, I don't know what my 3rd letter is, so I'm going to let it ride and maybe give me another clue next time. Yeah. But that's pretty much all you got, because you only got a limited number of tokens on the table that allow you to give clues. Yeah. So yeah, 6 is where it's at. That's just taking it up a notch. And
are those official variants, Dan?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, the book says you can play with 6 letters, with 6-letter words or 7-letter words, just to increase the difficulty. So we've just cranked it up a notch, and but it's so much fun. And again, I mean, we played half an hour, 45 minutes, which is probably the wrong kind of game to play at the end of the night when we're tired and stuff. But
Yeah, it's actually quite hard.
It works for me because I like doing it. That's why I've said in the past, I used to go to bed and do crosswords and stuff just to feel as though I haven't used my brain at all today. I just need to do something with my brain just to feel as though, okay, I've done something today. So that's a really good one. Plus we can have a cup of tea and sort of wind down for bed at the same time. So, but the game I wanted to talk about tonight, I wanted to sizzle, is we've also been playing the new Azul Queen's Garden. And this is my jam. This is like we've played Azul heaps. Azul was the game for us that took over Patchwork. We used to play Patchwork a ton. It was like a Sunday afternoon pot of coffee. Jack was down for a nap in the afternoons, and so we'd play that. And then it got taken over by Azul. We kind of stopped playing Azul around the time that I couldn't beat Jen anymore. Now, I haven't.
That's a good time to do it. Yeah.
I don't have the stained glass, the Sintra one.
I like that one.
I do have. We do have some of Pavilion, and I kind of like some of Pavilion, but some of Pavilion introduced a few things which I think Queen's Garden has kind of picked the best of the original and the best parts of some Pavilion, but has left some of the things that personally I didn't like about some Pavilion. Like there was a wild tile every round. There was a different color that was a wild. So basically with Queen's Garden, what you're doing is you're trying to create the prettiest garden for the Queen. And it starts off with the board, and you've got this it's kind of like a hexagon tile that you start off with in the middle of your board, and it's got around the edges of that there's a fountain and a statue, and much in the same way to if you've ever played the Summit Pavilion one with the diamond tiles. If you surround, I think it was columns. If you surrounded one of the columns with 6 of those diamond tiles, you could pick one from the middle. Well, it's done a little bit differently in this time, but anyway, you start off with this this central, almost like a central cog in your garden, and then there are 4 rounds, and so over the 4 rounds there are 5 when you play 2 players. There's 5 garden tiles you put in the middle, and the garden tiles are stacked up in a pile of 5, but they're essentially your factories. If you've played the original one, so you take four tiles out of the bag and you pop them on the first tile. And then all of the tiles, there are 6 different colors, and there are 6 different things, icons on those tiles. And so there's a tree, there's a bird, there's butterflies, there is a flower, there is a lily, and there are some bluebells, 6 bluebells. And it's really easy to remember because they actually, during the game, they actually score 1 through 6, depending on what they are. So the tree scores 1 because that's just one. Think of it as one tree. The bird has 2 wings, that scores 2. There are 3 butterflies, so that's 3. The flower has 4 petals, so that's 4. The iris has sort of 5 petals to it, and there are 6 bluebells. And they have a different scoring rationale towards them later in the game. But the same thing applies to other Azuls. You can take either all of one type of tile, so all trees, or all of one color. The only rule is if there are 2 green trees, you can't take 2 green trees. You're going to take just 1 green tree. And then because you've taken a tile off that first stack, that then you then take that off and move it to the side, and you put 4 new tiles on the next garden extension. These are basically garden extensions that are face down. So the next person can take one off the second one. And if they don't touch the stack, then that's fine. But as soon as one tile comes off that stack, the fresh stack must always have 4 tiles on it. So then you move it across. Now the third one is there. You put 4 tiles on. At any time when one of the garden tiles becomes empty, you then flip it over. And it will be an extension that you can then take and put in your garden, and it will already have an icon on it. It might have a green tree, it might have a yellow butterflies. So it's almost like having a free tile and putting it in your garden as well. But when you take tiles, or when you take a garden extension tile, you can't put them straight into your board. You need to put them in your little holding pattern. And this is kind of like the first one where you know how you're stacking up 5 tiles in a row, then you only move 1 across and you burn the rest. And the Summer Pavilion did it the same way. But depending on what tile you want to put into your garden, the value of the icon is how many tiles you have to burn to move it across. One. So if you want to put the 6 across, then you also have to discard another 5 tiles from your holding pattern.
Of the same type or just tiles in general?
They must be either the same icon or the same color.
Yeah, cool.
So you can get away with, okay, so I'm going to put this green, the bluebells across because that's worth 6 points. And I'm going to burn 5 other tiles to actually use it, but I'll do 5 yellow ones, not 5 other bluebells. Yeah. I mean, they're hard to get, but they will score higher later on. Tree is easy because it's only one, so it doesn't have to worry about it. But yeah, so if you want to move the flower across, because the flower is going to be worth 4 points, you either have to burn 3 other flowers from your holding pattern or 3 of another color of the same color. And so you're kind of using that. And we like it. Once we sort of wrapped our head around the fact that, it's Quirkle. Because in Quirkle, there's 6 different colors or 6 different shapes. So once you wrap your head around that, it's really, really easy to understand. And then when you place it, you can the first one you can place anywhere, but the second one you can only place it next to one that is either the same color or the same kind of tile. And so you're forming these groups. And you only need one. You only need at least 2 to form a group. But at the end of the game, if you have groups of 3 or more, then they will actually give you bonus points. So. And the same is with the garden extension too. So you've got space on your board for 12 tiles that you can take from the middle and just pop them in your little holding pattern, and 2 garden extensions you can put on there as well. But the garden extension you can't put into your main board until you pay the same price. So if it's got 3 butterflies on it, then you actually treat it like it was a tile that had butterflies, and you need to burn 2 other tiles from your holding pattern from your storage to actually place it. But that's how you can actually start to expand your garden. So you've got room for actually 6 all around your central hub. And that's how you can start surrounding your statues. Now, there are statues, there are benches, there's a fountain, there's one other one as well. And if you manage to surround them, you actually get these joker tiles, which are kind of like, it's just grey. Yes, you're right. It is a gazebo, yeah. Once you surround any one of these features in your garden, you get joker tiles, which you can't place on your garden, but you can certainly use them to pay the cost of putting something in your garden. So you start to get a little bit of momentum as you start to place these tiles and start to surround these features in your garden. You then accumulate joker tiles, which then can help you place those 5s and those 6-point sort of tiles in your garden. At the end of each round, and there's only 4 rounds, you do a quick score, and it's kind of like a rondelle, but not really. It's got there's a central thing in the middle of the scoring track, and for the first round, there's 3 different things that will score just 1 point each, and it might be for every dark green tile, for every tree, and for every purple tile you score 1 point, and then you just move them around. And then the rondelle kind of moves to the next 3 things, and it might be, you've got your birds, you've got your light blue, and you've got your butterflies. So you know what's going to score in the upcoming rounds. Obviously, the easiest things to place, which is just a tree, because it's just the cost of 1, so that's all it costs to place, is going to score in the first round only. Your 5s and 6s are going to score in the 4th round. So you've got plenty of time to actually place them and gain the benefits of those. And then after the 4 rounds are finished, you do a final score, which is, as I said, you're looking for groups in your garden. So if you've got a group of 3 or more of one particular kind of tile, or 3 or more of a particular color, they score additional, and they score actually, for the colors, for instance, they score what the actual tiles are. So if you've got 5 purple tiles all connected, you'll score what is on them. So it might be a 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6, and that's a score of 17 points for your blue. And then you'll score on if you've got any rows of any groups. So you're trying to, yes, you're limited to what you place. It must be adjacent to something else, but you really want more than 2. You're trying to chain about 3 or 4 green tiles together. You're trying to chain your butterflies together and your trees together. And sometimes you can put that perfect tile in where it actually extends your green tiles, but also it's a tree and it extends your groups of trees as well. So it's really satisfying when you find those tiles and you place them in the exact same in the right spot that can sort of chain off in these little groups in your garden. But at the same time, you've got to be conscious that you're paying the cost. A couple of times I got stuck where I had a couple tiles that I wanted to place, but I couldn't place them because it was a blue bird, for instance, and I had no other birds or no other blue tiles to actually pay the cost to put my blue bird in the bloody garden. And so that does take a lot of thought, a lot of forethought, I suppose, as to what you're taking from those middle sections. And invariably, Jen always takes the exact same tile that I was going to take. She's, oh, I didn't know you wanted that one. It's like, yeah, all right. Yes, you did. We both know that you knew what I was going for. So there is a little bit of that. It's like when you're playing the OG Azul, and you can see what someone's going for. So you can do a little bit of
take it.
Hate draft.
You can do a little bit of hate drafting if you want to, but there's a lot more sort of crunchy decisions going on, and I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, the Summer Pavilion one didn't really gel with me. I'm not 100% sure why.
I wasn't huge on that one either.
Yeah. So there's no wilds in this one. There's no sort of really sort of crazy scoring. There's no tiles in the middle and stuff. It's back to the old sort of factory style, but the factories sort of grow as you start to pick and choose tiles. So, and I forgot to mention, but it's probably pretty obvious that if you do have, if your one tile has now become 4 tiles and you want to take the light blues, you can take all the light blues from across all of them. So it might be that it's now suddenly 2 of them are empty and you flip them over. But as you flip it over, the other person now has first dibs on whether they want to take that tile to put in their reserve to pop in their garden. And it might have a 6 or a 5 tile on it, which yes, they can't just place it without paying the cost, but they've got a perfect spot for it in their garden. And it's like you've extended the garden and you get a free tile at the same time. It's magic for me. It sort of scratches that itch. And it's funny because I said this before, and I can't fully articulate, and that's probably one thing that it's just a lack of experience, but I can't fully articulate why I don't like Cascade as much as everyone else, but this I do. And I think it is that sort of crunchy placement. I find it much more of a challenge than Cascadia, I think.
Cascadia, you don't have to really pay for anything. You just
right.
Them. And sometimes you get stuff and you're like, this isn't ideally what I wanted, but maybe it's not quite as punishing as this one sounds. Because this one sounds like you got to really think about what you're going to throw away.
It's all about placement. It's all about what you can do and where you can do it. And you do have the luxury of creating. You get to take the expansions and put them wherever you want. So placement of those tiles before you even put the tiles on top, you have to really, really consider. And I love it. It's a real winner.
Sounds like it opens the decision space a fair bit compared to the first Azul.
Yeah.
But it's funny how understanding how the OG Azul works definitely helps with this as well. Yeah.
You can see they've kept the DNA of it and they've just added.
100%.
Good.
Yeah, 100%.
That's awesome, man. No, thank you for sharing, Dan. It sounds awesome. I have to hit you up for a game of that soon because I'm definitely want to try that
absolutely.
one.
I'll bring it. I'll bring it to the Melbourne game day as well. Oops.
Sounds like a plan. Whoop.
Mr.
Conor, we heard that Oath unfortunately didn't work out for you, but what has been working out?
What has been working out? Well, with Def and Harry, we on a Monday or a Tuesday, depending on how schedules are linking up, we tend to play maybe like a little bit heavier type games, which is great because unless I'm going to play them by myself, then I don't have a lot of people down here in Warrnambool to play heavier games with. So what we played on Thursday, so I fibbed, I said Monday, Tuesday, we actually played on Thursday, was Underwater City. So I've actually spoken about Underwater Cities before, so I won't go into too much depth, but I enjoyed it a lot more with 3 people than I did playing it against a solo bot. Which, the solo bot's fine. It's really, really hard because for you to be successful, you have to build something like 7 cities, which we only built 6. Like the 3 of us only built 6. And then you have to get over 100 points, and not even Def cracked 100 points playing with it. So, this is one of Def's favorite games of all time, I think. And we all know how Def plays games. Like he's cerebral, like totally like robotic, in a good way. But it's really cool. And I think what I was saying when I was playing it is that I really enjoy the synergy you can get, because what happens is you can take any free action space as long as you burn a card, but if you play a card that matches the color, then you get that card ability too. And sometimes those are instant, so it just gives you a new resource. Sometimes that can become an action card. Sometimes that can become an in-game scoring mechanism or things like that. So it's just really, really cool. And it always gets compared to Terraforming Mars. Have you guys played Underwater Cities? Because I know a few of you have played. Yeah, I know, Mike, you're a big Terraforming Mars fan, right?
It was one of my first Euros I ever played when I was very new to the hobby. So my brain, I think you could see the blood coming out my ears as I played. I've been dying to actually play it again because I've been loving all of his other games a lot. I've been really enjoying them.
Well, he's
so I want to revisit it.
Right? Like Vladimir Suki made Project so.
But Prodigal's Club and Last Will as well. Like I've been loving his stuff lately. Yeah, man. So
Messina is so good too. Just while we're on the subject.
Stop talking about games that I can't buy at the moment.
Buy it now.
Yeah, but it's just. So Sarah, what did you think of Underwater Cities?
Yeah, I really liked it. I agree that there was some there was some similarities with Terraforming Mars in the way, I guess, you're kind of getting these cards that almost have a similar kind of, like some cards are sort of do similar things to each other. So you can kind of stack up almost like I'm going to be great at doing this particular thing. Like, but it was good in that I didn't know what to do. Like it was a lot to explore and I was trying to do everything. I was trying to get those tracks, like what are the little corridors that let you get to the next city?
The roads,
they're just roads, okay, underwater roads. That was really cool. And then everyone has like a different board, or we were playing with the asymmetric board.
So, cool.
So you're building the cities or the roads and you're getting like new stuff when you place it on there. Oh man, there was so much going on. I really liked it. And I really liked that mechanic that you talked about where if you play the right color, you get the bonus thing. So it's like, oh, I want to do this action, but I don't have a card for that. Maybe I'll do this action instead with this card. And then just thinking about all the things you can do. And yeah, so good.
Yeah, so there's three colors, red, yellow, and green. And so there's three cards. But the cool thing is that, so the idea is you want to play cards and match it to the actions. But the yellow cards are the worst in each era, but the yellow spots are the best. So they're the ones that sort of, are going to get you where you want to be going. So they're like building cities, getting bulk resources, building multiple roads, building any type of like factory that you want. And then red's kind of so-so, but the red cards are so-so as well. Whereas green has the crummiest actions. So it's like you go there maybe if you're running out of space, but it has the best cards. It has the most powerful cards. So you're constantly going back and forth going, well, I don't really need anything other than play this sweet-as card. So I'm just going to go to a spot, get a coin, which you're like going, like that's nothing, like a credit. Like that's really nothing. But then you get to play this cool-as card that will give you an amazing action the next turn as long as the action spot is free. So I had this card where I could activate the action spot and it let me activate an already taken position. So I was like, well, this is great because now I have that freedom of going to an occupied spot even if it's already taken. And there's three different eras. So you start off, and then it's funny because you get these cards, and at the end of the era, you get three from the next era, and you're just like, these are crap, and you just throw the ones that you were hanging on to away.
And you keep the old ones.
So it's just like, it's really funny, but it is quite long. I haven't played heaps of Terraforming Mars, even though I bagged Stephen Bonacore about it when he was on the show. But
man, you ripped him apart. You didn't just bag him. That was brilliant.
But, I don't know, like in terms of length, how it compares, and I know there's like the prelude stuff that can get you sped up.
Terraforming Mars is way longer.
Yeah,
way longer than Underwater Cities.
So, which is interesting because we were playing it, we're having heaps of fun. So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because I played it before, but I played it solo. The other game we've been playing is Clans of Caledonia, which is kind of like Gaia Project but with farms. So it's sort of, and we've been playing heaps of Gaia Project, so which is interesting, seeing as something that's coming up a bit later in the show. Yeah, and it's got this cool sort of economy board where when you sell something, it goes up, and then so like you get crossed with the other person because it's like, well, I had the perfect amount of money to be able to sell that, so then I can't sell it anymore, I can't buy it, and all that type of stuff. Or you push it down, so then when you go to sell it, it's not very high and all that type of stuff. And each of the different clans have a game-breaking ability. So that's that thing of, well, it's broken, but so is your power. So it all evens out. And it's that really kind of cool sort of like Terra Mystica Gaia Project type thing.
We're all broken, really.
Yeah, right. That's quite deep.
We're all broken people.
But if we're going to be talking sizzling games, this is I think, one of Sarah's favorite games the last couple of years. And we started a campaign of Jaws of the Lion. So me, my mum, my sister, and my niece.
That's cool.
So, yeah, my niece is 10 this year. I think she's 9. And I've talked about playing games with my sister and my mum and how they're, they're gamers just like me. Like, they've been playing games longer than me because they're both older than me. I won't say their ages because that's not fair, but they're older than me. And I said, you know what? Like, I play these kind of cool as campaign games. I played some, with my brothers. I played some with you guys. I played some with my friends. I was like, I would really like to play a campaign game with you 3. So it's kind of like a special thing to do. So I busted out Jaws of the Lion, and we started playing it. I reckon it was about 6 months ago, and then we played through a couple of scenarios after I stayed with them a couple of weekends ago. And Sarah, we're just getting to the part where I think it's really starting to open up, and they're seeing like the Matrix. I've seen this a couple of times. Like, they can see like, oh, I get it now. I get why you do this stuff. I understand. Like, we've just gotten like our whole starting hand of cards. So now they're like, oh my God, I've got so many.
You got rid of the A's and B's or whatever.
Yeah. Because they were kind of going, oh, this is good, but I don't really feel like I'm stuck in the same thing. And my mum was getting really frustrated because she's like, everyone's got a lower initiative than me, and I always want to go before you to help you, but you always beat the monsters before I can help you, and I feel like I'm useless, and all this stuff. So she was getting all fired up because she was playing as I can't remember all their names, but she was playing as the wizard character who
the Void Warden.
the Void Warden, who has high initiative, which is going last.
Yeah,
which makes sense because it's super powerful. I was playing as the red.
Red guard.
Red guard. My sister's playing as Hatchet, and my niece was playing as the demolitionist. The demolitionist. So, it's just been really cool. And I remember it was more just a really fun experience playing with them because I don't get to play those games with them that often. Because they tend to like maybe a Euro or maybe something a bit more simpler, like something like Whistle Mountain is like their thing normally. A little bit of strategy, lots of silliness, but lots of fun. And I think they're starting to really enjoy that and seeing their characters grow. Because my mum is massive into fantasy, and so is my sister, and they just love that character growth. So my mum used to play RPGs all the time, like she used to play Dungeons and Dragons. So she can see the character growth. And she's like, yeah.
That's so your mum sounds so cool.
So I don't know how I ended up the way I am. Like, she's pretty cool.
Black sheep.
Yeah, that's right. The milkman. What's cool is that I know what's coming because I've played the original Gloomhaven. I'm like, I cannot wait till you guys get to make some of these awesome choices, like which cards you're going to power up
when they level up and stuff.
And you get to swap cards in and make a choice about which cards you're going to go in with. I think probably the only thing is it does suffer, like with my niece, who is very independent when it comes to games, because she wants to work collaboratively. Sometimes she can't quite explain. It's like, I want to use this card, but I want to use it at the right time, and I don't want to ruin our turn. So
that whole fog of war thing, she doesn't like that.
Well, it's not that she doesn't like it. I think she's just worried that she's going to pick the wrong one and go at the wrong time. So we've kind of said, look, if you don't want that one, is there one that's going to let you go second or third or whatever so that you can do it, and we'll just swap it back in, because as long as she's got the action that she wanted to take, it doesn't really matter, like when it comes to it. And once again, it's a co-op game. Your house rule games in co-op, the most important thing is people having fun. But I guess I was filled with like a little bit of regret, because now I'm like, I wish I'd started with Jaws of the Lion and not original Gloomhaven, because like just with being able to introduce it to people, I love Gloomhaven, it's fantastic, but it just doesn't get to the table enough for me at the moment. Whereas Jaws of the Lion, I could see it just being set up. It's got that sweet book set up. There's so many things that are in there that hopefully Isaac will move into Frosthaven that I think is really, really helpful. I think the characters are really cool too. There's some of the really cool characters,
they are.
Like Hatchet with his favorite and how he goes and can go and collect it again. And, the Void Warden, how it can take control of enemies or take control of people. But then if they're going to do like a super critical attack, then they've got to take damage. I get to be the tank, which is cool. That's like a role I like to do in RPGs. So yeah,
Cool.
I think Jaws of the Lion, it definitely deserves to stand on its own, like as a game, as a product as well. And we've talked about this before. It is so affordable. Like it is what you get, and because they're not it's not bogged down with miniatures, it's just great. And you get those envelopes. You're like, I know what's inside of them. I know what's there. I can't wait. I can't wait till we get to open them up and do all that cool stuff. So I just wanted to sort of talk about how much fun we were having and the experiences I was having playing Jaws of the Lion with my family, and that's who I enjoy playing games with. So yeah,
that's special, man. Like that's a special thing to have with your family, to go on that adventure and grow and bring you together. And I reckon that's really cool, man.
It is really cool. And actually, you've just convinced me, because Zoltan and I were playing this and he hasn't played it with me in ages. And you just convinced me that I'm going to force him to play it.
And you'll play it, and you will like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Force him to have fun time with
because I've got it. I'm still in shrink because I was waiting for the boys. But do I? Well, that's the thing. Do I need to? If I open it, am I DMing it, or does it DM itself?
No, it DMs itself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That's the great thing.
I've got a couple others here where I actually need to DM. So it's like, well, I'm going to have to wait until the boys get older so they can play together. But I could probably launch this with just Jack.
Yeah, for sure.
Just Jack.
And
and play along. Okay, cool.
Nah.
Yeah, I had like an app. I had an app for Gloomhaven that actually, so I didn't have to see what the whole map looked like.
Yes.
I could just reveal room by room. Did you have that too? Did you have
when
that, Mike?
the small time that I played Gloomhaven, I had that.
Okay, yeah.
You sort of felt it ruined things where you know what's going, when you know what's coming. So setting up room by room, it kept that excitement.
Yeah. And you go, I'm not going to use this card that's got an amazing ability because I know I'm going to lose it. So, but I know there's going to be something big in that other room coming, and
and it kind of like, because that's the cool thing about having a DM is that they can like do that evil laugh and then like, I know what's coming, and you're in so much trouble and you don't know, and it sort of gave you that effect, I guess.
Is that
because if you're just looking in the Gloomhaven book, you're like, oh right, there's a demon there, and there's this,
and it's not secret, like especially with Jaws of the Lion, because you open up, it's like these are the enemies. It's like cool, like, and we know where they go because it's on the book.
Yeah.
So
which I think is why that it, like in Frosthaven, I think it's going to go back to that kind of thing where it's all rooms, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, he was Isaac at one stage said he's thinking about making the book for Gloomhaven and the book for Frosthaven, but I don't like. They're pretty expansive, those maps. I remember one from early days. It was this massive, like corridor, like ice corridor, cabin, and I was like, that wouldn't. You can get the supplementary part to that on, but it was pretty long and pretty like windy. So it'd be interesting, but
it'd be difficult to do. But setting up some of those dungeons was painful sometimes, like just trying to find all the tiles.
And I didn't learn my lesson because Star Wars Imperial Assault's the same, and like you buy a couple of expansions, like where is tile F-37? Like which one is it? It can't look like this, but it's not. And then you realise they're double-sided, so you flip it over.
Yes.
So now Gloomhaven wins that battle because there's nowhere near as bad as Imperial Assault. That's shocking.
I've still got this intrigue from the very first Melbourne game day as well. So I need to get this out as well. It sounds so good. But speaking of game days, thank you guys for talking about all the games. But speaking of game days, we have to mention that Sydney and Brisbane game days are coming up, and they're coming up fast. We have Sydney that's selling tickets very quickly. That's happening on April the 9th, and the Brisbane game day is happening on May the 21st. So grab your tickets if you haven't yet, guys, because as we get closer, those tickets are selling quickly.
One real quick thing about Sydney, while we're on the subject, is there should be games that you can, if you've got a ticket, you can like book yourself into a scheduled teach by now. By the time this podcast comes out, you'll be able to do that.
Launched. Awesome. Very exciting. Get yourself into one of those. And I believe Wonderland's War is one of those teachers I think I saw. So jump into that game, guys. It's going to be amazing. And we are going to announce that on May the 14th, Melbourne game day number 3 will be happening.
Yeah.
It's been booked in. We've got to tie a few loose
hang on, wait.
ends.
Have we checked that date with Conor? Have you got a wedding on or a bar mitzvah or a...
No, I don't.
No?
I said
No?
I said before I might have to christen like the new Spirit of Tasmania or something like that. But, no, it's clear. It's clear. I'll be there. So please,
You had it here first.
Yeah,
Conor will be attending
I'm ready.
his first Melbourne game day.
So what?
Please post on the social
goes
media
down.
so none of your friends get married.
Yeah.
No, all good. But no, it'd be sick. The game days are so much fun, and it's always great meeting. Like everyone's so nice in the community.
Yeah.
Like, you're just lovely people. So
Best
thanks for
community
coming
ever.
along. Yeah.
I'm lucky that I've been to all 3 states, and they're all amazing. All states have an amazing crowd. So looking forward to having you at one of our own, Conor, finally. So yeah, May 14, guys, we'll be releasing some information soon and putting up tickets soon. So hopefully that's not far away. But save the date, May 14th for Melbourne. From there, I want to touch on something that's closing as we speak right now. That'll be closed by the time everyone else hears. It'll be the Board Game Barbecue Awards. Dan, do you want to tell us how that's coming along?
Yeah, we are on to the next phase now. So thanks to everyone who, for the last 3.5 weeks, has been putting forward their nominations for their favourite games in each of the 9 categories. So just a reminder, nominations are now closed. So again, thanks to everyone. But we are now sorting through who our official nominees are going to be for Best Solo Game, Best Family Game, Best Party Game, Best Light, Medium Weight and Heavy Games, Best Expansion, Best Artwork and Game of the Year for 2021. And those nominations forms, the voting forms, are going to be going out to our Patreons as well as the crew, to all of our Patreons later this week, and they'll have a week to cast their votes, and then that's it. The winners will be locked in. It's already award season. I think the Oscars were on last night, so there will be then setting aside some time to film the 2022 Board Game Barbecue Awards. It's going to be really, really exciting. So yeah, just wanted to shout out thanks to everyone who took the time to fill out nominations on all of our socials, on Discord, and they went to the link that was on Facebook channel and Instagram and voted for their favorite games. And hopefully your favorite will be one of the finalists. And we'll announce who those finalists are starting from next week. And you can expect to see some stuff on our social media, as well as we congratulate all of the nominees for the various publishers. We'll plaster that all over our socials, and then eventually we'll release the winners on our special awards show.
So exciting!
So yeah, and I suppose if you want to join in and be part of the one of the official voting panel, it's not too late. You can jump on our Patreon. You can always support the podcast. Just go to patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue. Of course, all of our Patreons who donate, they get exclusive episodes. But there's other little sweeteners that we offer, as well as just like being able to vote the Board Game Barbecue Awards, and we have special nights and stuff on Discord. What we do with our Patreons is also a special Patreon channel on Discord that you may not know about. But there's also plenty of ways to support the podcast, including going to Apple Podcasts, leaving a star rating there. You can, I think Spotify has a new star rating system as well, which you can use, and that only takes a couple of seconds, but of course, it means the world to all of us here, and helps us with those little algorithms and promotes our podcast in weird and wonderful ways on all of those sorts of channels. You can also get involved in the Board Game Barbecue community by joining our Facebook community, following us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, there's our Discord community. Oh, YouTube, just in case you weren't aware, guys, Mike's actually been putting up all of our podcasts on our YouTube channel. So if you're the kind of person who likes listening to or wasting time at the office with YouTube on your little side monitor, you can put our podcast up because we're on YouTube as well. So just check out the YouTube channel, Board Game Barbecue. And then, of course, like I said, there's the Discord where you can get involved with all the different conversations. And I think there's a couple of people in there at the moment playing some games on one of our gaming channels, and that's a great place for everyone to meet up and do that.
I think it's the paint club tonight.
Jules is running a paint night.
Oh, Jules is running a paint club tonight.
It's cool.
Right. I saw some people in there as well. Damn it, I need to go in there because I just got my Super Fantasy Brawl. Deliver it. Look at them go. It looks so nice when they're painted. So yeah, and all the links are in the show notes for all of our socials. So jump on board and support the podcast.
Oh, and if you haven't seen a video bloopers from the awards announcements last year.
Oh,
You should watch that video because, oh my gosh, that was so
much fun.
funny. We all had it was like we were high and we would not.
Yeah.
We could not stop. Like we couldn't hold it.
It took us about 2 hours to film like 8 minutes worth of awards.
We're high on plastic and cardboard.
All our like families were like in the next room just shaking their heads at us like, what is wrong with these people?
A bunch of kids.
Well, we don't have a retreat this year to film it, but we do have some ideas. We do have some ideas cooking, so stay tuned for our Board Game Barbecue Awards night.
Coming soon. Thank you very much, guys. And guys, that's got to move us over to the bracket battle. Hey guys, it's Mike here. I'm here to talk to you about Advent Games. Have you bought a game from Advent yet? If you haven't, you definitely should. Dean and his team are absolutely amazing. They've got an amazing website, really heavily curated with all sort of different categories from deck building and rare games, and look, just go check it out. They offer $10 flat rate shipping all around Australia. They also directly support the podcast game days up in Sydney, so you can go by and say hello. Guys, go check out Advent. You won't regret it. All right, so on our bracket battle, we're going to be closing up a pretty good fight here. We had Root going up against Aeon's End. Sarah, I'm going to bet you were on the Aeon's End side of this, and Connor, I'm going to guess Root.
Yeah,
Dan, I don't know. I think
Aeon's End. No, I'm Aeon's End all the way.
Aeon's End, that's right.
And I forgot to vote.
What?
You forgot to vote.
Should I go vote now?
That would have made a huge difference.
Is it going to matter?
It might not have made a huge difference, guys. I'm not sure if you had a look, but do we have any strong vibes about who's going to win?
I told you, Root's my pick to win the whole thing. Root,
really?
Yep.
Well, Connor, Root is on its way. Yeah. Root is on its way because Aeon's End is out by nearly, actually over double. Yeah. Root scored 87 points. And unfortunately, Aeon's End
hasn't Gravehold suffered enough? I implore you, people. Hasn't Gravehold suffered enough?
Unfortunately, the suffering just does not beat out killer animals beating the crap out of each other on a big board.
I would say the Woodland Alliance has suffered enough. Taken over by the cats and the birds.
But that was an epic fight, and thank you to all those who voted. And that's going to bring us to our next fight, which are two pretty big games, and I'm interested to see what I've got no dog on this fight, but I'm interested to hear from both parties. We've got Gaia Project going up against the Lord of the Rings Journey in Middle-earth. So they're two pretty big board games, both with very big followings. So let's hear what people think about them. Let's go to Connor first. Condog, do you want to tell us why Gaia Project is going to win this fight?
Well, Gaia Project is not only the best game in this bracket battle, it is one of the best board games of all time. That is me coming from it from a late, I'm a late adopter of Gaia Project. So here's the thing, right? So they've released, or they're going to release some expansion content or challenges to do. And they said, we do not think that this is suitable for new players. So if you've played less than 50 games of Gaia Project, you should not attempt these challenges. That is the type of game that we're talking about here. It is absolute brain melt, but rewarding. You're never backed into a corner, right? There's always a way out of it. You can charge power to activate one of your own abilities. You can charge power to go and quickly grab some resources. You can upgrade to make sure that you've got a mine available for the next turn, to make sure that you've got enough ore. You've got the tech tracks, Sarah. There's tech tracks in this. How could you not love Gaia Project, Sarah? They're the tech tracks are the main part of the game.
I agree.
And then each round you've got a different bonus to score. So just as you're wrapping your head around what you're actually going to do in the turn, you then have to be well, is this the right thing to do this turn because I'll get more points for it next turn? Am I going to upgrade to my Planetary Institute early because it gives me a game-breaking power, partway through? There's just it is one of the most rewarding board game experiences I have ever played. And each time we go to boot it up and play it again, I'm just super stoked to play it because there's just so many opportunities to do cool things and challenge yourself. So
and so many opportunities to fail.
Well, yeah, but that's all your own doing. That's the cool part too, is that it's only like there is a jostle for position, and you potentially could get backed into a corner, but there's always a way out. I've never been in a position where I'm like, well, I can't do anything and this is not any of my own doing. It's because I've spent on something too early. I should have waited. I should have gone up a track instead, and now I've got to wait a whole nother turn to do income. So even if it's like a turn later, you can still do it. And the way the in-game scoring works is sometimes you'll have a game where someone might win by, let's say, 20 points, right? But it's not actually like that much of a difference. In other games, it's like 20 points, you got absolutely pizzled. It's like that's not the case, because what happens is when it's really, really close until just the end, and someone will make the right choice, and that will get them 20 points more than the next person. So for me, it is one of the most finely crafted board games I have ever played. I don't think I'll ever turn down an offer to play it, and that's more so other people have the opportunity to win a board game, because I'm not very good at Guide Project, as both Harry and Dev can attest to. So, yeah, Guide Project, getting through this round for sure.
That's a strong fight. But I do find it interesting, Connor, that you did say that you got Root picked to win the whole thing, followed by Gaia Project as the best game in the whole bracket battle. So, got some contradictions there, buddy.
I thought he just meant this particular battle.
This battle? Was it this battle? I thought it was the battle.
No.
I might have heard it wrong. I apologize.
Please.
That's all right. That's okay.
But it's ambiguous.
I may have someone who objects to that. Because I've received a communication from Jonathan in our Discord, who is one of the community members who put up Journeys in Middle-earth. And I present to you, members of the jury, the very fact that none of the hosts had played Journeys in Middle-earth, and yet it still managed to win its way through from the previous round, should indicate that it's a pretty decent game. It's a top 100 BGG game, but all of that is about its popularity rather than its quality. It's an IP game, which in the past have come with various IP-related issues, but now we see that there are numerous excellent IP games with the likes of Marvel Champions or Star Wars Rebellion, but that's just why I was initially led to playing the game. As a lifelong Lord of the Rings fan, it was a game that was attractive to me, but the license alone would not have led it to being one of my favourite games if it wasn't a solid game beyond just this. Now, I know some gamers have an issue with apps in their board games, but the way the app is integrated is excellent. It effectively functions as a dungeon master, tracking where I need to place the new pieces of terrain, exploration tokens, and of course the enemies. It also manages enemy health, the damage they deal, and their movement. And yet, at the same time, the app is not doing so much that it feels like everything is being controlled by the app. It just streamlines the experience and makes it easier to manage. The tiles all have a cool alphanumeric symbol on them to make it very easy to work out which tile to place, unlike Gloomhaven. Where I digress. Where and when, in addition to this app streaming. Beyond anything else, my favorite part of the game is how the card play works. Each player creates their own unique deck based on their role skills and character skills, as well as taking specific weapons and gear relevant to that starting character, all of which can be modified. So while Aragorn is recommended to start as the role of captain, you can change things up and give him the role of hunter or guardian if you wish. You then add all of these unique cards to a set of 6 basic skills, deal in 1 weakness card, and the characters will all start their number 1 skill prepared. The game runs in 3 phases: action, shadow, and rally phases. In the action phase, players work out the 3 key actions to use: travel, attack, or interact, unless a card ability allows for another, and can use the same action twice. For instance, traveling allows players to move up to 2 adjacent spaces in 1 action, so effectively a player can move through 4 spaces in 1 turn. This is important in that a player can also attack twice to kill a difficult boss or an enemy. When taking the attack action, players test for successes by turning over a number of cards specified by the weapon type and their player card. Players will then exchange successes to do the attack on a weapon and can use each type of attack once during 1 attack action. During a game, players can also collect initiative tokens, which can be exchanged if they turn over a card with an initiative symbol in order to gain an extra success. Or some characters have abilities where they can gain skills which use those initiative tokens to create additional attack damage. And it's this skill checking which drives most of the rest of the gameplay loop. You travel, you interact with the world, you check skills for successful interactions, you travel and attack and check skills for successful attacks. And once all the characters have had a turn, then the shadow phase gives the enemies a chance to arrive in greater numbers, increase the threat meter, and move to attack your characters. And then once all this is done, the rally phase means you just reset your deck, add 2 scout cards unless you have a scout 3 skill. Scouting allows you to flip the top 2 cards and choose to prepare 1 to use its skill later. And all of this is wish to say that it might seem like a simple app-driven Lord of the Rings adventure game, but it has a surprising amount of depth. The key designers are very active in the BGG threads, and there are several quality expansions for the game that add more Middle-earth goodness. I don't know if it will beat the Juggernaut of Gaia project, but surely we all love an underdog. The defense rests, Your Honor.
Oh, well done. Well,
thank you, Jono. Very well put. Very well. That's a good argument. It sounds like a great game.
I've been hanging to play Journeys in Middle-earth. In fact, once Jonathan and I get through our detective game, we're going to flip the script and he's going to teach me Journeys in Middle-earth. So
awesome.
I was like secretly hoping we'd get like a free review copy or something.
But if we keep saying we've never played it,
yeah, that's right. Like asking the universe for it, you know.
Yeah.
Did you have a dog in this fight, Sarah?
Sorry?
Do you have a dog in this fight? Are you leaning a certain way?
Well, I've played Gaia. I haven't played Journeys in Middle-earth. I would really like to try it. But yeah, Gaia is obviously it's amazing. It's well, you all know I love Terra Mystica, and it's basically like that, but with even more stuff. So
more stuff.
Yeah. I guess I'm going for Gaia.
But guys, it's not up to us hosts. It's up to all of you. Jump on our Facebook, jump on our Instagram, get on our Discord, and lodge your vote for one of these 2 big games to see who goes to the next round. You can jump on all 3. We definitely recommend you do to give yourselves the best chance. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes. It's 2 big games, so let's see what happens next week. With that in the back burner, let's move on to some oaths. Like I said at the start, guys, I'm sure all of our hosts have done an amazing job at completing the oaths. Let's go to the most confident in here, and that's Dan. Dan, tell me how good you've gone.
You're saying that because I was avoiding eye contact with you then, Mike?
Absolutely.
He's looking away.
I have not played Tiny Epic Pirates. I got it out.
That look is when the kids don't do homework and they're like, I hope Mr. Divine doesn't pick me.
When the puppies just pooed in the corner and won't actually look at you. Yeah, and I got a big steaming pile of Tiny Epic Pirates sitting in the corner over there, and I haven't actually played it. No, I actually went all in on this Kickstarter, so I've got the sweet neoprene mat, and I've got the little neoprene player. Which
we have to rub your nose in.
Or roll it up, and then just smack me on the head with it. But no, I only got as far as getting it out, and I got as far as watching Rodney Smith's like half an hour how to play. It's like, and that's the thing with I've never
the hard work was done for you.
I know, but I actually fall asleep towards the end. But that's the thing. But there is so much going on in this game. It's a lot more than I actually expected there to be. So
that's what literally everyone says about every Tiny Epic game.
That's it. This is going to be my first Tiny Epic game, and it's funny because when you bust a shrink, it's like Jaws of the Lion. When you bust a shrink and the box goes lifts up because there's just so much stuff packed in there. So no, I haven't played it yet. I got it to the table, but that's obviously not enough to fulfill a no. So I haven't played it yet. But I am going to double down, but I'm also not going to double down with a game because that would be silly. I am going to, as I mentioned earlier, I do want to start getting back into painting. And I have the original Super Fantasy Brawl Kickstarter, and I got so far as I did a base coat of everything, and I started on the statues, the 3 statues to go in the middle of the board. And then, of course, this week, all of the other ones arrived, and so I, Dan Harris, swear that I'm going to try and paint at least half of my minis. There's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Wow, I cannot believe you're doubling down, and instead of playing a game, which is way easier, I go back.
I take it back. I'm going to do 6.
You can't take it back.
I'm going to do
6 sounds manageable.
You know how they come in a set of 3? I'm going to do at least 2 of those. I'm going to do at least 2 of those, and I'm tempted to start with the ones that just arrived. I've been picking a lot of those ones, the newer characters when I play on BGA. So with Sir Tentaclot and some of the newer characters I've actually been having a lot of fun on BGA with. So I'm going to paint 6 of my Super Fantasy Brawl minis, as well as get Tiny Epic Pirates to the
You
table.
can do it, Dan. I have confidence in you. I'm sure you'll smash it out, buddy.
It works crazy at the moment, so I can't think of anything better than just to chill out with doing some painting and just watch something on Netflix while I do
Join
it.
in the paint club next time.
Yeah.
Good opportunity to do that. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Well, if we weren't recording, we might be able to go to the paint club.
Well, if we hurry up,
Jules.
I might quickly jump in now. We're still going.
Well, let's move it along and check how Sarah went with her oath.
Yeah, who's Sarah going to blame tonight for not doing her oath?
Oh, so it's not just me after all.
I'm running out of people to blame.
You can blame me. I'll take the hit for you this time. Why not?
Why did you do this? Yeah, I was going to play it at my weekly sort of game get together, but we didn't actually get together this week. So everyone's been a bit crazy. So we didn't actually play it. So it was to play Mind Management. So I've played it solo only, and I really wanted to play it with other people. So yeah, basically I'm just blaming other people this time. No, so I'm going to put that down as like one of my teaching games for the Sydney Game Day. So if you're listening to this, I probably have spots available. If you're coming to Sydney Game Day, play it with me so I can fulfill my oath.
Don't. No one fill those spots so we can get stuck into it some more. Yeah.
Oh, is it not a campaign game like the initiative?
It has different. Yeah, it has these different like little cassette things. It's really cool. So you can. I haven't opened any of them. I haven't played it. Like I said, I've only played it solo, so I haven't explored it all yet. But it has different stuff that you can add to it that I don't know about. It's all secret.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they did another Kickstarter of this as well. Yeah. So hopefully, I'll get to play it before the next Kickstarter comes.
So those that sign up for Sarah's teach, she'll teach you the game, but you will actually be jumping in at season 3 because she needs to finish her campaign first. So you won't be starting from the start. You just start from where she left.
You won't have any idea what's going on. I'm actually reading the graphic novels as well, which is really cool.
Nice.
I really like it. It's super cool. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what is happening in the story? No idea, but it's great. I'm along for the ride. And so my new oath is going to be forcing my son to play Jaws of the Lion with me.
Which part's more the challenge? Playing Jaws of the Lion or forcing Zolly to play?
Yeah, probably that second one. I don't know. Yeah. I can probably bribe him. I think I can bribe him with junk food pretty easily.
We'll have pizza if you play Jaws of the Lion.
If you play Jaws of the Lion.
That's great. Like you just
if you finish.
Yeah.
Once you finish the campaign, then you get to eat.
Starve him until we get through it. I would really like to open that up again because we only got like halfway through or something like that, and I just want to finish the story. No. It's like Gloomhaven. I don't know what's going on in the story. I can't get through it. So yes, those are my 2.
Very nice. Well, we wish you luck, and hopefully he agrees to jump along for the ride. Conor, I'm very excited. What you saw an oath to play. I'm lined up to play on Thursday. Tell me about it.
It's pretty cool. So my oath was to play Dead Reckoning, which it was funny because I can't remember. It must have been Monday. I recorded on the Sunday, and I was like, look, I've done these before where it hasn't turned up or whatever. And then I got home from work, and it was sitting. I didn't even get a notification. It was sitting at my door, and I was like, oh, sweet. So, awesome. I think it's really, really cool. So it's John D. Clare who made Mystic Vale. That's what I was trying to remember. I was like, what's the game called? Yeah. So it's the same. It's a card crafting system that he used in that. And is it like Hero something? I've done it again. Anyway, I should do some proper research. But the cool thing about this is it's a card game, but it's also a board game as well. So you're using the cards to take actions. But each of your cards you can power up by getting these advancements. But there's also like a pick up and deliver system. There's an area control system. There's the craziest battle system I've seen in games where you grab a handful of cubes, you roll cubes down this ship, and then they land on this like dual layered board, and then depending on where they land is how much money you get from just the battle, how much damage you do to your opponent, and who wins. Yeah, it's madness, but it's heaps of fun. And because in the end, what happens is battling's just a way to get resources, right? So, and if you you only ever lose 1 damage if you lose the battle. So the most you can probably lose in like a battle is probably like 2. And if you lose 5, all that happens is your ship sinks, you lose the resources that are in your ship, and you go back to your own dock. So it's a bit more like, oh, well, I can see someone's going to like really load up with their money, so I'm going to attack them so that they drop their money, and then that's it. Like, so it's not as if you're out of the game or anything like that. But the superstar, the rock star of this is the card crafting system, which once again is great because you not only get the attachments, but you can level up the cards themselves. So you start off with cards that are like captains, bosuns, or bossons, however you want to pronounce it.
I think it's bosun.
Deck hands, crew, the gunners, the buccaneer, and they all have their own like thing that they do. But as you upgrade them, they get more powerful, and you then can obviously start to work out which cards you want to upgrade. And so it's almost like the way that you level up, it's leveling up your crew. So you're kind of playing this mini RPG and choosing which direction you want to do. If you want to be full mercantile, so you just want to do with money and deal trades, you can do that. If you want to sort of have a mix of both, you can sort of battle and then have that, you can do that as well. Yeah, like I was super surprised because I was just expecting it to be like a card game, which I would have been perfectly fine with. But it's a card-based board game where the board game actions are just as important as the cards. But the fun part is making and leveling up your cards, which is kind of cool because it's a thing that you do on the side, which is more encouraging. And, you know, you end up drawing this card that you've spent ages leveling up. You're like, I get to take a sick-ass move and, you know, you sure you want to attack me because I've got a pretty cool card in my hand? And you go, so you can start signing people. Yeah, I'll be really interested to see what you think, Mike. The only caveat, right? So I talked about this ship that you roll the cubes down. It's cardboard, and it is the most annoying thing to put together ever. Like in board games, like I put together for Merchant's Cove all the little ships and things like all little boats. That was fine. This is, I was so scared I was going to break it. And because when
do you have to like pack, do you have to like dismantle it and build it again?
In the box, they give you a box that you can put it in. That's like reinforced by hard cardboard, so it's safe. Yeah. But when you kickstart it, you got this ghost ship as well as a normal ship, and I'm like, if I break this one, at least I've got the ghost ship to go back to. But there's nowhere to store the ghost ship, so I figure like some people would just use that instead of them. But yeah, like it is really cool. Like John DeClaire, he would have to be one of my favorite game designers because everything I've played of his, I have loved.
Yeah, like he's whatever you like ecos.
Yeah. He does. He's Cubitos as well.
Yes.
Space
Custom Heroes is really good.
Yeah, that's the other one. The card crafting system. So, yeah, he's the man. Like, he's just really doing well. And I'm so happy that it's come out because I imagine that's how he wanted it to be. You know, he's using this card crafting system, and he's already said like there's another Kickstarter coming for Dead Reckoning. So I'm like, there's more content, and I've got like
I'm going to jump on that one for sure.
A campaign that you can play through. So yeah, it is really really cool. I think you'll really enjoy it. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go for that long, guys. It's just
that's all right.
I had heaps of.
I was loving it.
Set up on my table. And because I just want to play it again. Anyway, but my next oath is not as extreme as that. Along with a whole bunch of Warhammer paints that I got. I got the latest mini expansion to Marvel Champions, which is the Hood. So what you do is you get the scenario pack. So Kang was one of them, the Wrecking Crew, Green Goblin. They just they don't give you a whole heap of new cards to play with, but they do give you, in terms of player cards, but they do give you villains. So the Hood it's like souped up standard ones, Dan, so you can swap them out for your regular standard card cards that you have to put in every encounter deck, so you get like stronger ones.
Okay.
There's heaps of more modules. There's the hoods scenario as well. So next time on the show, I kind of might swear that I'll play through the hoods scenario, and because I feel like I haven't played enough Marvel Champions as of late, and I just need to.
I got mine out the other day, and I was actually just sleeving it, and then went, oh, look at the time, and it's too late for me to start playing everything now. I actually realised that I had 2 packets of Star Lord as well.
Oh,
so I'm gonna have to try and find someone I can offload one of them to. Not keeping enough accounting on what I purchased.
I did that with
I want that.
Yeah, I did that with an Arkham Mythos pack. I think I double clicked. I was like, I need this one right now, and double clicked. And I must have put 2 in there instead of 1. So,
2 in the cart.
Yeah, 2 in the cart.
All right, thanks for that, Dan and Connor. And so my oath was to play Railroad Inc., which I did. I didn't get a chance to play with other players. I played it solo at work, which is interesting. I played the base game a couple times, and I played with the extra dice in there as well. The volcano, which is sending a meteor to mess up your whole board, which is a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to playing with more people. I think it'll be fun, but I think I got the full experience. And I'm going to keep the roll and write thing going along. So my next oath will be to play Welcome to the Moon. I've never played OG Welcome to, but I really am a big fan of Welcome to New Las Vegas. So I'm interested to see what Welcome to the Moon brings. I know there's like a campaign mode and a few different maps and things. So I'm Michael Ferrugia. We'll play Welcome to the Moon by the time I'm on the podcast next. So I'm looking forward to telling you how that was. And that will do it for the night, guys. So thank you to all of you for joining me tonight. It was a great chat. I was chomping at the bit to chat board game. So thank you very much.
It was good fun. Thanks,
pleasure.
everyone.
Always.
Thanks, guys.
Lots of fun. So thank you very much, guys. Everyone out there, thank you for listening. I hope your next game is a sizzling one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much.
That whole wasp incident was kept in, and I didn't realize it was going to be kept in, and then people are calling me like a potty mouth and all this stuff.
I bleeped it out.
No, you didn't.
I'm sure I did. They had a...
Oh, for the F word, but not the SH word.
I've left a couple of shits in the past.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Last episode, there was a yeah. Conor had a shit in the second segment.
That was good.